So today we're going to use some paint, some watercolor paper, marker, a brush, a pencil, and see what we can create. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to simplify it by just using circles. Okay, so I don't know, let's try some simple shapes and let's see if we can make put somebody in a space. So I'm going to put a horizon line in here, and I'm going to do a big circle, and then I'm going to make another circle and another circle and a circle, kind of funny circle for the nose. And I'm going to make a mouth out of a circle, and I'm going to make an ear out of a circle, and then I'm going to make a neck out of a circle, and then a half of a circle right here for the body. So you see it's all circles. Circle, big circle, small circle, 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 big circle, and a line going across the background. That's our background. I always like to put in a background. So now let's see, we'll put in a circle for the eyes, another little circle here to make the nose, and maybe a line across this way for the teeth, and put a gap in there. That always makes it look funny. Make a gap. Ear, we'll just make a half a circle, and maybe we'll make like a W. Make it look like an ear. And now we made a circle here. We'll just connect this, and we'll just put a short line in here, a short line here to make a neck. And you can put hair on yours. I'm going to put some hair on mine. I'm going to put some puffs, hair puffs, afro puffs in a part. Afro puff in a part. So now the nose, we'll give it a little nostril in the nose, and the nose comes out like that, like that. So now to make it come out a little bit better so you could see it, I'm going to use my marker and draw an outline. In fact, I'm going to use a big marker. Make an outline of this, an outline here. There's that big circle we made. And I think I'll just go ahead and make this circle. Make sure I don't make it look like crazy eyes, so I'll put the eyes in the same direction so they don't look like crazy eyes. And then there's my circle that I made here, but now I don't have to draw all of it. I just need the guideline. There's my nose, my circle, face. Here, here's my other circle. And we put a little gap in his teeth. Cartoons could be crazy, see? Here's my circle. Here's my neck. See, all of my circles help me draw. Here's my afro puffs in a part. Another part. And my afro puffs. Now you can make braids out of these. I'll show you. Crazy hair. Ears. Make an ear. And then this part like that, and like that. That's this little turtleneck. And his here. And then we have like a little background. And a little background over here. And if you want to make these into more hair, you can make them into braids, or you can make them into anything that you would like. So I'm going to leave it like this right now. So the next thing I want to do is put some color on it. And I'm going to start out with the sky in the background. I'm going to get a lot of water on my palette. And I'm going to take some of this blue, some blue that I have. Some nice blue paint. Now what I like to do, instead of painting straight, I like to take the paint and let the paint run down the paper, especially for the sky. So I just let it run, let it drip right down. See how it's dripping? Just let it run and leave some space for clouds. With water paint, we're using water paint. The white of the paper helps make the clouds. What's nice about the paint, it's fast. Some more blue. Let it run. Maybe turn it around like that. Let the paint do the work for you. Drips. Drips are good. And water paint goes where see, the water runs where it stops, where the water stops. Okay, so I'm just put, that's just plain water by itself now, and let it drip. Okay, so let that go. See, I'm just kind of like running it around. Then let it stop. Not too much. Next, we do this background color. And for me, I'm thinking of green. This is only the first step, the first stage. I'm just putting a little green in here. So I'm going to put a little, this green paint. When I paint around the figure like this is called negative space. This is the space around it. Now, I don't want it to touch the face, so I'll turn it like this. Move that paint around, and then I'll move some paint in here. Just let it run. It looks like that. It's like really drip. Just float the color right down the page. See? Just let it float. Okay. Now, that's how you make a wash. So when my paint wanted to run down here, I just go here and blot it right out. So the next thing here, I think I'm going to make dark here. So I'm going to start with some dark color. And just put a little of this dark color in here. And a little dark color there. A little more paint. Lay it on. Now if it puddles like that, you take the paint off your brush and you put your brush in there, and it acts like a sponge. Takes it up. Just take it up. So I'll show you. You take it off, bring it over here, and a sponge. Takes it right up like a sponge. Now I didn't do the face yet because I want to let that dry. I want this to dry. I want some of this to dry, and this to dry a little bit. Just a little puddle here. I'm going to sponge it up with my brush. That's it. Dry brush. I used a dry brush. Now we'll get some bold color in here. This is green, right? This is our secondary color. This is blue. This is our primary color. So I'm going to put a primary color, a nice bright red in there, since it's in the foreground, to make it really pop out into our space. So I got a red, nice red, and put it right on this sweater. Like that. A little red. Red there, red there. And while it's still wet, there's a little something I do. We'll grab some orange. If you don't have all these colors, if you don't have paint, you could use crayons or whatever you have for color. Now here's some orange. Got that orange. Look what it does when you put it over that red. It really makes it pop out. That red will leave a little. There we go. Like that red. Alright. So I'm gonna let that dry and I'll be right back. Okay, so to speed it up a little bit, I use the hair dryer. So I just put it on. Okay, so now everything is dry now, and I even erased some of the lines that I had in here, that my circle lines, because I had a whole circle there and a circle there, big circle there, little circle there. Remember, I had a circle there and I had a half a circle there to make my circle guy. So I'm gonna put in some paint in his face, and probably the most popular. Now, as you can see, I'm a black guy, so I would make them dark, but most of the time when I'm working in the classroom, if people want to know, how do I make flesh tone? Well, there's no real flesh tone. Flesh tone's different depending on who it is. But I'm going to take some yellow, and I'm going to take a little red and put them together, the red and the yellow together. Now this is watercolor, so with watercolor, if you want it light, you put more water in it. So let's see. You can see I have two puddles here, and I'm putting more water in here. So, and now you may have a smaller brush. I have a big brush that I use. It just holds more paint. So I'll put a little color in there. And take some of the water out. Squeegee some of the water out and go back in here and grab some of this paint. Just run that paint in there. Just a little paint. The areas that I want white, I leave them white. So I'll put a little bit more paint in there. Here, 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 and right under this guy's chin. Right there. Now I noticed something I would like to do in here to make his teeth pop out even more, but I think it'd be nice to have a tongue. Take some of this paint out. I took the water out of my paint, and I'm going to make a tongue just by making a little half a circle. Right there. Half a circle. And then I'll fill this in with black. Just fill it in the black. Starting to run out of ink with my Sharpie. But that's okay. I can use the Sharpie to get me started. And then add more color in there later. Same here. So more, make this a little bit darker. Really make it dark. Fill it in good. Okay, so now I got this gap in there. Gives him a little, makes his face a little funny. And his tongue, we get some red, a nice bright red. Maybe a little nice bright red for the tongue here. Add a little color in there. Just let it. So now for most of you might say, okay, that's it, I'm done. But you can always add more. You can always add. Now this is the time where you can go in and add little details or little extras that you might want to put in there. You maybe want to put something in the scene, or like for me, I like to, maybe I'll add a little bit more in the sky. I just took some of the paint up so that I can move the sky around. So I might want to do a little bit more in the sky. So I'll go back to the blue. A little bit more blue. So I got one little bit of blue in there, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more in the sky. Just another layer. And I don't cover everything. I just cover enough to make it look like it's a sky. And I hold my paper on an angle so that the paint will run down. Kind of makes it look more dramatic. Run that down like that. Now where it was white, it's real white. So I'm going to take a little water, just water by itself. And just kind of like, just run a little bit of that blue that I put in there into the sky. Into the clouds, so they don't jump out, but it's just enough. And then move it around, play with it, let it move around like that. That's what's good about paint, watercolor paint. Now the hair, it's a little gray for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more dark. And some dark paint. And I always like with paint, to work the dark first, the light first, and then the dark. So it's not black that I'm using blue and brown. I use the blue and the brown to make a nice dark. So now and take this and just kind of like bring it right in there. And I think I'm gonna make it interesting. I'm gonna make them some spiky here. Oh, the spiky here. Yeah. And spiky here. Oh, spiky here. You can change things. Make a little more hair down here too, and leave a little light in there and a little spiky here. And then the green here, we can add a little bit more to it. And we get some more green, a little bit darker green. And stick with the greens. Greens are good for you. Eat your veggies. So I'm going to put some in the foreground, a little bit of foreground green. We'll splash it in here. I'm not going to try to cover it like smooth now. I'm just going to like put it in like this, kind of like let the brush dance around. Let the brush dance around on the surface, just like that. Dab, 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 dab. Kind of like let it dance, like that. And then where it's back here in the sky, I'm going to use a green, but the difference is I'm going to add some blue to this one because the sky is blue and the background is blue. So we can add a little blue to it. So I'm going to go like background, a little blue in the background. And now a little hair dry. Now we did everything. I did everything with this big brush, right? So now I'm going to throw a little details in it. I'll use the smaller brush now. And for some people this may not be small enough, but this is small enough for me. So I'm just going to maybe do a little bit more in the hair. And you can choose to do how you want to do your little details. So I'm going to add some more. It's like a dark blue and a little dark brown. I'm going to go back into the hair a little bit. A little quick. Let's see, a little dark color. And spiky hair again. Now with a smaller brush. And my spiky hair. Little lines here where the hair goes in. And here, move it around. And a little spiky hair. More spiky hair. And some lines going back. Here. Like that. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. This is where you can just go in and play around. You could even take colored pencils. You could use colored pencils. Where I used the marker before, I want to make it even darker. I can now make those eyes even darker. Make like little chacos. You could make them blue too. You don't have to make them black. I made them black, but you can make yours. You can make them blue or blue and black. Color. Just making this more detail. Now, if I was making this into a turtleneck, I can put some lines in the turtleneck. So I'll put some lines in it, like this. Lines. So make the little turtleneck. And let's see what else. In the background, leave that alone. Maybe in the foreground, we just add a little bit more detail in the grass. Just play with it. Don't cover everything, just a little bit. Just scratch on it like that. And see, just kind of like make little grasses, little blades of grass. Just lay them in real quick. Let's see, just put them in here. Work fast. Speed, speed, speed. Like marks, little marks. You don't have to put all the marks in. You just put little marks in random places. You don't want them to be too even, because grass doesn't grow even. You just kind of like quickly put them in. Like that. Just some scratches. Like that. I'll put it like a little, I always like mountains, so I think I'll put a mountain in the background with some blue and green, blue-green in the background. So back here, maybe we'll put in a little bit of a mountain. Here, up and down, up and back down again, and up and down. Maybe like a little mountain back there. And then put a little more tone on that side, so it look like the mountains have plains. So a little light on that side and dark on that side. And if we want to add perspective, we could put a path in there. Let's see if I could do that. A little, I don't know. Make a little pathway. Like that. Start wide and go back thin. Wide and thin, back to the foreground. Let's see. Sometimes I make it dark and then sometimes I make them light, the pathway light, like we did with the crayons, but this time I made it dark because I thought about it last. Didn't think about it right away. Bring it into the foreground. So now I got a little pathway in there, got this. You could, if you want, you could put more trees into the picture, more grass. You know, you could do a lot of little things with it. You could put shading in there. Could be a little more advanced. You could add a little bit of shading underneath his chin and around. That's a little tricky. So we can leave it flat like this. So I'm going to leave it flat like this because next time I'll show you how to make it shaded with paint. So try this. So you can see that what we did, this is a quick overview. This was all made with circles. The big circle head, the big circle eyes, the eyeballs were circles. We made this out of a circle. We made this out of an oval. We made this a circle. Made this out of a circle and this out of a circle. We put a nice bright red to make this pop out into the foreground. We made this light color by adding more water, and we made it with yellow and red. We mixed those two together. We added a little red here to make it pop out in the foreground. And then we added a little slight S curve, and we added some nice mountains in the background. And we did this with two steps for the sky. And and we tilted the paper around. We moved the paper around. I'm not going to move it now because it's still wet and that'll move where I don't want it to go. So try this. If you have paints, if you don't have paints, you could use whatever you have. Crayons. If you have crayons, you can use colored pencils. I could draw on top of this with colored pencils. You know, after I finish the color with the water paint, I can go back into it with colored pencils. And it's a nice added touch. So I think actually that may be our next project. We'll show you how you could use color paint and then work on top of it with colored pencils.